Are you ready for some crazy Nicolas Cage? I sort of promised
Oh,
this last.
always
You're
love
down.
some
You're
crazy
down.
Nicolas Cage. I'm down for this. Yes.
Yes, the latest Nicholas, which is called Prisoners in a Ghost Town or Ghostland, sorry.
Awesome.
And
Right away. Good
so
stuff.
many questions. I mean, why is it called Ghostland? What's the Ghostland? Who are the ghosts? I mean, so many questions coming out of this film. All I know is that a bunch of us were sat near the front row. It was like a Friday or Saturday night, whichever, and it was absolute box office. And I don't know how to review this one because it deserves a category all of its own, and it's sort of hard.
uh,
You're finding some images, are you? Some unforgettable.
yes, I want to see. We have plot summary on IMDb. A notorious criminal must break an evil curse in order to rescue an abducted girl who has mysteriously disappeared. Now, see, that sounds pretty straightforward, but I'm guessing it was not so straightforward
Yeah,
as
I
that.
mean that's the only sort of plot summary I could give you, really. And after that, I would just be saying this happened, So I'll just describe some of it. I mean, it's sort of hilarious because Nicolas Cage was on the poster saying this is like the wildest film I've ever been in. So I kind of love him being on the poster, giving that sort of endorsement.
Yeah.
He's a little actually toned down in this. I think the film is a bit more wacky than he is. But he's kind of channeling like his inner Mad Max in a way. There's
Nice.
elements of Mad Max with some of the characters, and certainly in his look, he's very chiseled and very gruff. And certainly a few of us are straining to hear what characters were saying. It's what the hell are they saying at times? And yeah, there's stuff because you've got this creepy like sort of southern preacher who's like the villain of the piece, and but he's really good. He's an entertaining like pantomime style villain. But
Okay.
yeah, there's this whole thing where Nicolas Cage's character, he's he's got his balls basically hooked up to detonators, and there's a timer because the preacher obviously he has to find this girl basically, and then there's creepy stuff with the preacher and the girl, why the preacher wants the girl. But yeah, that's so. I mean, you're hooked right there. That's real because it's one ball at a time as well, potentially.
Oh,
Um,
of course, because we
and
can't get
what's
into
funny
detail.
is, yeah, it's amazing. But it's like, what the hell's going on? Because there's a scene where, because he has like walkie-talkie that he communicates with the villain with, so he has to try like if he finds the girl. Well, I'm getting into spoilers, but I mean, with this movie, what the hell? But but if he finds the girl, he has to like say a name into the thing. But there's a scene where he's basically got the girl and he's really injured and he's down, so he can't say. And then she's with him, so she's trying to say it into the thing. And for some reason, like there's she just keeps saying it because it doesn't seem to register. It's like, what the hell's going on here? And and it's hilarious because there's a scene where Cage does this sort of speech about, if you told me 2 days ago that I would have one arm and one ball, and and what's funny is until he said that, I didn't realize he'd lost an arm. I mean, it's that sort of film. It's like, okay, when did he lose
Okay,
an arm?
sure.
and, and this
Oh, this
stuff,
sounds
I
brilliant. I
mean,
have to see this.
yeah, no, you do. I mean, I'll describe the opening scene. The opening scene, which is a scene they go back to later in the movie, is a scene where they're basically like robbing a bank because that's something that happens as well.
Why
And
not?
this little kid, because it's all set in like Japan or China, what one of the two.
Mm.
And that's another funny scene, the scene where it's all getting set up and
Yeah.
there's this whole thing because you get like these sort of like like Asian girls sort of mocking Cage's like masculinity, which I will say it's actually a nice change than it's the American star that's being ripped the piss out of by
Yes.
the foreigners. So maybe they had an idea with that, but yeah, no. They're sort of making fun of his like masculinity, and one of them does a drawing of him, and she draws it without any balls, which really pisses him off. But no, the opening scene I was describing is where they're doing this bank job, and this kid, this young boy, starts offering one of the robbers like a Skittles style sweet, something like that. And so it's almost like an advert, the way he's talking to him. It's something he's seen an advert. And then later on, when they come back to that scene, randomly, like coloured balls, which are obviously meant to be the sweets, start flying across the screen, but they're much bigger, and they just fly at like the robber. It's like,
why not?
See, I told you this is the only way I can talk about the film. And then there's stuff with like these slaves who are like hooked up to like a big clock, and they're just like hammering away, and I could never make out whether they had to stop time, whether they had to start time, what the hell was going on with that stuff. But yeah, no, you can tell it's an entertaining mess. I mean, it's real sort of box office, and yeah, I think it deserves a category all of its own. Like in a way, it's so bizarre and kind of niche that I can't really even call it a guilty pleasure, because I think it's just one of those where whoever, like the guy who directed it, is clearly like a madman. And there's some good like sort of like piss take sort of fight scene sort of thing where Cage has like sort of staring contests with no idea what was going on. There's this stuff with like one of the villains who I think is called Psycho, and he's one of the guys who robs the bank with the Cage character. And at one point he just disappears, and we didn't know why he disappeared. And then he came back, and we just assumed he was dead, but he came back. And Cage, for some reason, who has been like anti this guy at one point, starts having like a male bonding experience where he starts, oh, I've missed you, Psycho, and tears is running down his eyes, and he starts hugging.
Oh, it's brilliant.
What the going on? So yeah, I mean it's sort of a funny one. Like I don't know in a way if it's a horror, but it sort of goes into those areas at times. I mean it's definitely more of a Western action style romp, but yeah, we should do it because I think we would have a lot of fun with it.
This sounds brilliant. I already want to see this so badly just from what you've described.
Yeah. I think it only suffers. The only way it suffers, I think, is because there are just some scenes that stand out so much, which are just so bonkers. Then maybe then when you move away from those scenes, it does, it's not quite, it struggles to live up to that. But no. I had a good time. I thought it was real sort of box office.
Good fun. I feel like Nick Cage himself is like just a genre. If we ever move out of horror films, we should do like a Nick Cage retrospect. We can do Face Off and Con Air and all of the really fun Gone 60 Seconds. Well, Con Air, yes.
The opening 2 minutes of Con Air when he was reading that cheesy letter in that terrible southern accent just had me losing my shit. And that
Con Air is brilliant. I don't even know what Nick Cage is doing with that accent in that movie. He's not even trying. John Malkovich, absolutely brilliant. John Cusack, everyone in that movie. So yes, if we move out of horror, we'll do a Nick Cage retrospective, and it'll be good fun. So yeah, we'll do all the cheesy 90s ones.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's funny because before I move on from this marvel of a film, I mean, another thing is I'm pretty sure they were making a reference to his Wicker Man remake as well. You know if you've seen it, you know the scene with the bicycle in the Wicker Man.
Oh, I haven't seen the Nick Cage one.
Okay.
No,
No.
I've just seen bits and pieces of
Well,
it.
this really funny scene where he says to a woman like, "Madam, step away from the bicycle," and I'm pretty sure that's being referenced in this because there's actually a scene with him on a bicycle, which you can imagine the visual because you've got this, dressed leather, Mad Max looking style guy, and because he can't start the car or something, so he nicks like one of the villain's bicycle, and you just have this image of like him. Yeah. So
I got to check out this film.
yeah.
Sounds awesome.